I'm going to call this next segment the next 2 years. So this is basically what's going to happen for the next 2 years. Some of it is what will happen, and one thing will be what I would like to happen. A couple short things. Number one, there's going to be at least 3 people in the Senate who are going to be running for president. That would be Rand Paul, Marco Rubio, and Cruz. And those 3 are going to be not really caring about the institution of the Senate. They'll be caring about getting their own ass in front of the camera and saying some pretty outrageous things to try and hook up their bona fides so that they can run for president. It will be awfully difficult for Mitch McConnell to do some things because of the way they're going to be acting. Mitch McConnell, at the same time, is going to have a hard time because it's easy to, when you're the opposition party, to lead something from behind. It's going to become something completely different now that he's going to have to be the leader. And there will be, that's one thing. You have 3 Democrats, 3 senators running for president who will not really care much about what's going on in the Senate. They will want to be talking over it and using the Senate only for their own political gain. Not for the good of the country, not for the good of the Senate either. The second thing you'll have the House, which has even more members. They'll probably again start voting to repeal the Affordable Care Act. And there will be some really, really stinky legislation coming out of the House that Mitch McConnell won't even want to put his fingers to, even get remotely close to, but he'll have to do something with it. The House they will have some really, really terrible things that are going to be going on. There's going to be impeachment talk really soon. There could be impeachment talk, especially if Obama does something about the immigration issue, which I hope that he does. I hope that he takes an affirmative, forward-looking stance, that this is something that we need to deal with and we need to work it over. Now, if he does something, then instead of the impeachment, why doesn't the House and the Senate pass better legislation than what he's going to do, and then so that it'll even be better? But if the only thing they can do is build a triple-line fence with a couple boats in between, then I don't think that's really the way it's going to be. The issue is going to be solved. So there's going to be some terrible stuff coming in the House. There's going to be three people running for president that are senators. And there's at least 2 people right now who are governors who are going to be running for president. That would be Chris Christie and Scott Walker. And there's probably a couple others that you can put up on there. There's talk of Portman in Indiana. John Kasich, who's a governor. He's more of a well, the thing is that he isn't quite as controversial as those other 2. And, of course, Chris Christie and Scott Walker are going to have to be saying some pretty crazy stuff all the way around, too, to get their bona fides, because in the Senate, those guys can get on TV all the time. Scott Walker and Chris Christie, well, Chris Christie can get gone on for not doing anything. So there will be a lot going on. So that's number 1. Number 2, will there be any legislation that can be passed? Can there be any legislation passed? And that will be very difficult to see, because this wave that happened just now in 2014, that wave will be on the Democratic side's favor in 2016, where 23 Republicans are up for re-election and only 10 Democrats. I think it was almost the reverse this time. So what you reap is what you sow. So there's many senators in there who would like to pass some good legislation, so that when they run again in 2016, they have something to stand on. And there has been a number of wave elections. Possibly 2016 could be the next wave of an election. So, and the Democrats have to get their house in order. That's another thing. Get rid of some of the people at the top in the House, possibly, probably, should be, that type of thing. But I think, and this really comes down to something that, what is going on? And this is really the time for the president to lead from above and ahead. He's been leading from behind, and he needs to lead from ahead. And he needs to lead from ahead in a very positive, straightforward, confident, almost of arrogance manner, that this country is going to be moving forward regardless of what kind of crap is going to come out of the House and Senate. that I will continue to work for the minimum wage, to work for increased standards in terms of clean water, clean air, mining rights, so that we don't tear up the land, especially federal government land. That he's going to be doing all of these things that are going to be helpful to the middle class and those below the middle class. So, and he has to be extremely positive, extremely assertive, like I said, to the point of arrogance, and that he is willing to stick his neck out, to go anywhere and to do anything to help anyone, because he's not running again. You can't run against him again. The Republicans will probably try to run against him again, but you know, it's going to be another election in 2016. And that is what I'm taking for this message today, is the next 2 years, you're going to have a lot of crazy stuff going on. But if the president can stay ahead of the issues, can stay out in front of the issues, can be positive and straightforward and confident of these issues, then that'll make that 2016 very good for the Democrats. But I really hope he steps out of himself for that, because I know that he can.